Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wherever this is finding you. How is this finding you? Where is this finding you? What state is this show finding you in today? It is the final day of March 2026, the 31st, marking the end of a traditional corporate Q1 calendar. This show is a daily companion audio show. It's a new category that I've created. It's not quite radio. It's not quite a podcast. It kind of drives it right up the middle. Something, you can come back to, return to every day, right around 8 a.m., or it's something that you can catch up on a bunch of episodes at once. That's why I often say, I don't know where this is going to find you, but we're recording this just before 8 o'clock on the 31st of March, and it's going to be a beautiful 75 degrees and sunny today here in the city of Cincinnati. And that's where this show is rooted in. It's rooted in Cincinnati, but it is made for wherever you are. Okay, it's content, conversation, things you want to know, need to know, maybe could use later. Okay. Today is Hard Topic Tuesday. Hard Topic Tuesday. Every Tuesday I come up with something, whether it's presented by you, an article that I've read, or just a thought of something that I've noticed throughout the week that I've sat with for a couple of days. And then we talk about it here. The purpose and the goal is to maybe inspire some deeper thinking, inspire some deeper conversations, maybe bring a little bit more peace and clarity to your life, maybe give you something to sit with. It's the human side of being a human. That's kind of what the entire show is like. But that's what this is specifically for. Before we go any further, today's Hard Topic Tuesday, by the way, is announced. I've announced, I don't know if you've heard this, but I have announced the death of the death grip. And I'll share more on what that means. And letting things happen slowly and how that feels and what that could mean for you. And maybe it'll bring some benefit to your life. So we'll get to that. That's on the horizon. But first and foremost, before we go any further, checking in on you. A good morning to Jim Favorite. Moved to Cincinnati from Atlanta, listening on Spotify. I appreciate that. Good morning to AB, who has apparently lived in Milwaukee and Cincinnati. Good morning to you. A good morning to Hannah, driving from LA to Carlsbad. And Casey Looney and Harwich, Steve in Boston. And Jill in Walnut Hills, or East Walnut Hills, I should say. A good morning to Tara in Alexandria. We were texting yesterday. So all sorts of people listening from all sorts of places, and I do appreciate that. What's going on in your world? How are you doing? What's top of mind? How are you feeling? What's the latest? Are you starting to feel like this blanket of winter skin is leaving you? And I don't know if in a physical sense, like maybe like how a dog sheds its winter coat, or maybe it's more of an emotional thing. There's something about green trees and green grass mixed with a little bit of blue sky and sunshine that often changes the perspective. How is that treating you? Is it finding you full of joy and renewed energy, or are you a little bit more on the hesitant side? It was easier to stay locked inside in the winter, to kind of nest. Roots grow in the dark, so I say. And actually, that quote was given to me by my dear friend Allison, who lives in Fort Wright. And she reminded me of that sometime back in January. And so I've kind of hung on to that one for a little while if you want to use it. I find myself in a very odd place. I don't really know how to put words to it. And I know that that's my job. But it's a feeling that lives inside of me and really a lot in my head. I find myself like kind of ruminating a lot. I have one more paycheck left on severance. And some days, it depends on, actually, it's not even a day. Sometimes it's a millisecond. It depends on which time of day you catch me. Some days I'm like, oh my God, I only have one paycheck left. And I have kind of not a lot of direction and guidance on how the financial and purpose future lines in front of me. And then other days I'm like, no, I'm going to treat this as, I have one more paycheck left and then I'm free. And then I'm free to create whatever is mine and really close the last couple of pages of that written chapter of my radio career. And so this morning, I'm trying to lean into the latter, but I am human and both of them come up from time to time. I find myself struggling a little bit physically. I'm short on breath. I don't have a lot of energy. I'm tired despite sleeping a lot, which is a very odd thing for me, seeing as how, one, I have no children, no pet, and no responsibility. I have a lovely partner. I love him very much, but my life is entirely my own. And I find the thought of creating what that's going to look like from scratch almost a little mentally exhausting. And I don't like complaining about that, but it's just something that I've noticed. Again, sometimes being human is just noticing things, sitting with them, talking to yourself, talking to a friend, maybe talking to a professional. I lost my professional. I lost my therapist in the transition from Cobra to Marketplace Health Insurance. So these are things that I have to navigate. And God, looking back at some of my photos from last year in comparison of where I was then to where I am right now, very different. Purpose-driven in work. In the process of starting a new relationship was so fun. I had just been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, so I was navigating a very new lifestyle. My body looked and felt different. Honestly, better then than it does now. And so I'm in the process of figuring it out. I have to be patient and give myself some grace and such. I think some of it comes from mental. I think some of it comes from physical. And some of it is medical. And I'm in the process of figuring those things out. That's top of mind for me today. And I'd be happy to listen to what's top of mind for you today if you'd like to leave me a voice note. I usually collect those through Instagram at the Tiff, 2Fs, Potter like the wizard, or if it better suits you to write, you can comment on this platform that you're listening to now, Spotify, YouTube, or Apple. Okay, it's Hot Topic Tuesday. I am announcing, and I have announced, I have declared the death of the death grip. Let me repeat that for you. Today is the day that I am announcing the death of the death grip. My manicured fingers, whatever they can wrap their these little fingers around, I've been trying to death grip everything in my life. Everything. Which is another way of saying like a false sense of security, a false sense of control. If I can death grip the things that I can control, it'll give me this sense of, I actually have some guidance and direction in my life. That's what the brain does. The brain is fighting to protect in this time of transition and change, when in reality, I think it's making it worse. When I think back to times where the death grip has worked, honestly, I can't think of one. So I wrote a piece about this a little bit more. If you want to read on Substack, you just search for my name. And like I said, the title is The Death of the Death Grip. And let me tell you kind of where this came into play into my life. And I'm wondering if any of it will resonate with you. So for those of you who are new here or maybe seasoned returners, yes, the job transitioned out of corporate life in October. I then was in the process of creating and developing a new relationship. And when I say developing, I mean, I really it had been a while since I was in a committed relationship. And a lot of people talk about the dating scene and then what it's like to be married. But the first year of a relationship, when you go from a me to a we, that in itself, I tried to death grip control on a lot of things there. I find myself death gripping some control, and it sounds like an evil thing, but really it's all out of love. Like, I try to death grip my boyfriend a lot and give him guidance, and unsolicited, by the way. Unsolicited amounts of death gripping are happening in my life, when in reality it's time to just sit back a little and trust some of the processes. Now, here's my thoughts on trusting the process. You kind of have to have a blueprint in your life, in my opinion, for where that's worked for you. Has it ever worked for you? Think back, draw back on some of the sketches in your brain of your life. When you let go and let something happen, or you trusted the Lord, the Holy Spirit, the universe, yourself, your gut, your instinct, has it paid off? Has it ever not worked out for you the way it was supposed to? That's another good question to ask. And the answer for me is no. It has always worked out for me the way it is supposed to. And so I find myself just kind of scrolling back through the Rolodex of blueprints in my head to remind myself, hey, when you let go and when you just trusted, it's when it came to you. And that's an act of wholeheartedly believing it. You can't say it out loud. You have to remind yourself, but you have to start to believe it. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm sitting right now. You know, as someone that's got one paycheck left until zero income is starting to come my way. What am I supposed to do? And there is a phrase, the phrase is something like, I don't know. It didn't work out the way it was that I had planned, but it ended up working out anyways. That phrase doesn't sit with me because I never plan anything in my life. But what I do is I look for the breadcrumbs, I follow the clues, and I follow them and pay attention to the clues enough to know that when something feels like mine, I go. And that's my way of looking at it. I don't know if that'll help you, but go ahead and search the article on Substack. It's called The Death of the Death Grip. That's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to continue to follow the clues until something feels like mine, and then I'm going to go, which takes a whole lot of leap of faith, especially when gas is $4 a gallon in Ohio, the most expensive it's been since August of 2022. But what other choice do I have, right? I think the one where I've, been death gripping hasn't really done me well. I'm up 20 pounds. I feel like I'm creating a lot of turmoil and chaos in my head, which then makes me feel like I'm not taking advantage of the free time I have in my life to slow down and figure out what's next in this chapter. Which leads me to my next point in Hot Topic Tuesday. I read an article that said, let love happen slowly. Which I think is, you can translate to, let life happen slowly. The article says, we live in an era of immediate gratification. Everything is instant, and we are surrounded by endless options. We meet someone, we go on a date, and almost immediately feel the urge to label it. Our minds jump ahead of us to start asking, where is this going? Where am I? Is this serious? We barely give ourselves a chance to simply experience the moment. Somewhere along the way, dating and life stopped being about discovery and started feeling like a performance. Social media certainly hasn't helped that. We scroll through images of couples celebrating anniversaries, surprise trips, engagement rings, new jobs, and we quietly measure our own experiences against those curated moments. Suddenly, we're not just meeting someone or experiencing something, we're evaluating them and that experience. Are they a partner? Are they emotionally available? Could this be something real? Could this entrepreneurship journey be something real? And if the answer doesn't appear quickly enough, we move on and we abandon it. I will link the rest of that article in the bottom description below if you want to read more. But there was something about it perfectly timed with the voice of that article mixed with the one I wrote last week that had me thinking, you're right. We don't let life happen slowly enough to pay attention to those clues when they are breadcrumbing you. Now, not saying that it'll all be perfect, it'll all be right. There are going to be bumps, humps, hills, mountains along the way. But there's something about that of just trying my best to let life happen slowly around me, even if this season doesn't feel like last season. It's a new season. It's like a new show, starting a new show. Sometimes the new show sucks but you're committed anyways. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised by the new show and you're like, all right, I found something cool to talk about with my friends. Sometimes you abandon the show too quickly and then you have to come back to it months later and you're like, why didn't I give this show more of a chance? Wow, the TV analogy. Damn, TV is such a big part of our culture, isn't it? Speaking of TV, I finished Breaking Bad for the very first time ever this weekend, and maybe we'll spend more time on that tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow's topic of conversation. Best TV shows that you've seen. So anyways, I don't know if any of that sat with you or how it's sitting. I'm sure some of it is sitting with you. Just let me know the parts that are sitting with you. Leave me a voice note, like I had mentioned, at the Tiff2Fs Potter Like the Wizard, or comment below. And if anything in this episode is sitting with you, send it to a friend. Again, this is a daily companion audio show. If you want company, just press play. It's as easy as that, okay? Follow, subscribe, be a part of this community, and I really do appreciate you. Live from the This Morning headquarters in Anderson Township, Cincinnati, Ohio. Happy Hot Topic Tuesday. And I can't wait to hear more from you. And I will see you right back here tomorrow. Thanks for inviting me into your life and to the places that you love. I really do appreciate you stopping by. Good morning.